Hello, everyone. Hello. How is everyone doing? Welcome to the Women Transform Sisterhood Bible Study. I am your host, Pamela Jordan, and we are here to dig a little deeper in the Word and to enjoy it together. I hope you guys are seeing me clearly. It's kind of blurry there. But thank you guys. It's been a while since I've been on, and I promised you guys I was going to come back on. Things have changed a little different for those of you who used to follow me. Thank you for following me. We're back on. We're going to try to do this like we used to do. Uh, every Tuesday. We used to do it every Tuesday at 10 o'clock. I'm going to try to do it every Tuesday at 9 o'clock, a little bit early. Hey, Rosa. That 10 o'clock was getting to me, y'all. So we're going to try to come on. And those of you who are getting on replay, put down in your comments, replay. Let us know that you're getting in replay. As I always say, thumbs up, hearts up, comments. Put your comments in the comment section as we go through our study. Don't want to keep you long. But I figured we'd do something different than what we used to do. We're still going to hit some of the topics. Don't get me wrong. But I wanted to bring this more for the women and to the women. And I love the brothers that supported us before when we were doing transformation. And it's still transformation. I just had to change the name a little bit. But just coming on, and we're going to talk about different women in the Bible, different things to keep us encouraged as women. It's a sisterhood. So we're going to be encourage each other as sisters in Christ and lifting each other up through the Word of God. So this is our kind of like our Bible study part of Women Transform. For us, I mean, we have the other parts that come on. Catch us on YouTube at Women Transform Pamela Jordan. That's on our YouTube channel. You can catch all the videos that we did from the past and everything. All that stuff is on there. Check it out. You can get caught up and learn some wonderful things. Also catch us on our podcast. It's Transform Her Single Woman Podcast. If you can catch us on that. And we also on Instagram as Single Women. Transform Her Single is our Instagram. I got to remember all these things because it's so many, guys. It's so many. But check us out. So we're going to jump right in. Tonight I want to talk about, it's a familiar story in the Bible, and it's a familiar lady in the Bible. And I want to talk about Hagar. And we know the story about Hagar and Sarah. If you don't know, it's in the book of Genesis. Starts at Genesis 17th chapter. I'm not going to read all of that, guys, tonight because it's a very long scripture and very long story and everything else. Just a little brief thing. It's about Sarah, Abraham and Sarah, and Hagar and conceiving a child and the different things that happen on that become with Ishmael and Isaac. So you're going to have to dig it in yourself. It's a lot to read. So you understand. But I want to talk about Hagar. And the reason why a lot of times we talk about Sarah and we talk about Abraham. And we talk about the negative part of what happened. But I wanted to dig a little deeper into Hagar and get into her head and get into her life and her feelings. Because Hagar was a single woman. And to get into how would you feel if you were in her situation? You know, Hagar was the maid. She was a handmaid. She was a concubine. She was a servant. Whatever you want to call it. She was a slave to Abraham and Sarah. And she was put in a situation that really she didn't have any control. She didn't have no control of herself, no control of her body, no control of what she said and do, because she had to be obedient to her masters, and which who were Sarah and Abraham. And many of you probably didn't know that. You know, we read the story, but I think we've been taught and read the story as if Hagar was this mistress that Abraham was messing with on the side. Hagar was not the side chick. Hagar was a slave. She was working in the house, and she was working for Sarah, and she was one of Sarah's handmaids. So she did a lot of stuff for Sarah. She was not the mistress. She was not the chick on the side. She was not hidden. Abraham wasn't creeping and steeping and peeping. He wasn't creeping and going to her or anything like that. She was his servant. So she was actually in the house, and she did a lot of stuff in the house for them. And so with her, I wanted to kind of dig in a little bit with her, and we may run out of time, and we can continue next time, which is fine with me. But she is, the Hagar story is a story of a woman who is a servant in a household where she has no control, as I said, of her body and her life. It is a story of a single mother who prays for the life of her son and receives God's promises for a better day. It's a story of a servant pregnant with the master's child who later encounters God. It's a story of a woman in the wilderness seeking justice and finding a God. So with Hagar, she didn't ask to get pregnant. She didn't go and volunteer and say, hey, master, I will have the child. As we know the story, Sarah and Abraham were given a word by God and an angel that they will conceive a child, and the child will be the root of nations and have many nations. And it goes all through that. That it says, and God said, Sarah, thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac, and I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. Now, in this story, and this is where it goes, this is where the injustice comes from, is that the fact that Sarah, and this was really after the fact that Hagar conceived, that the angel came and Lord and told them they would bear children. For some reason, Sarah got antsy. We're old. We don't have any kids. I want to have some kids. I can't have no kids. I don't think we can have no kids. I'm barren. I can't have any children. And we need to have an heir, because back then having heirs was so important. Back then lineage was so important. Back then it was important to have sons to carry on the name. So they wanted to have a son. They wanted to have children. And so Sarah got really antsy, and she came to want to take it upon herself and do God's job and tell Abraham, okay, then since I can't have a child, I'm going to give you my young handmaiden and you can conceive through her. Now, that's when she made a mistake. It wasn't Hagar didn't come in there and ask to be the surrogate. Sarah appointed her as a surrogate. Sarah told her, you're going to sleep with my husband and conceive a child for us. So Hagar had no control. And many times in life, you've maybe been through something that you had no control of, that you were put in a situation that you're saying, you know what, I had no control of this. This was not my choice, but I had to do what I was told to do, especially like when we were little kids and everything. Hey, Pastor Michael. So with Hagar, she wasn't asked to be a surrogate. She was given to Abraham to be the surrogate. So ended up getting pregnant. And then what happens as she got pregnant, Sarah began to see the things that were going on between her and Abraham, everything that was going on. It was all, everything was going good. Sarah got upset. And she got so upset that she wanted Hagar out. And so what happened was she sent her away. Now this was the first incident. There were two incidents in this story where Hagar ended up in the wilderness. This was the first incident. The first incident, she was put out to go into wilderness, and she left. And when she left upset, afraid. I remind you, she was pregnant. She was carrying this child, and she left. But while she was in the wilderness, see how God works when we're in the wilderness. Sometimes we're in the wilderness of our situation, and when we feel like everything has fallen apart and we're all alone, we're by yourself, who shows up? God shows up. And what happened was God showed up, and he began to speak to her, and he began to talk to her, and he told her, you got to go back. And can you imagine being pregnant? Your master's wife, they sent you away because she was jealous. She spoke harshly to her. She sent you away for something you ain't had no control of. That was her doing. And now you done ran into the Lord in the wilderness, and the Lord said, you got to go back. How many of us be sitting looking at the Lord and say, Lord, really? You mean I got to go back? I just left all that mess. And you mean I got to go back to that mess? I don't really want to go back. Many of us probably been in there having a conversation, dialogue with the Lord saying, I ain't going back, Lord. I ain't going back. I ain't going back because I don't want to have nothing to do with that. But because of her obedience to what God told her, she went back and she was blessed. Because God told her, even though she went back, he blessed her in that same way because she went back because of obedience. And a lot of times, God may tell us to do something that we don't want to do. But when we do it and we do it out of obedience, God will bless because we did it out of obedience. And that's what happened to Hagar. She got blessed because he told her he will multiply her and she will have more kids. And even with today, you get in a situation where that God may tell you, you're in a situation that you want to leave and you're tired and you don't want to be there anymore. You don't want to work there anymore. And it's like, Lord, this is taking me away and things happen. I need to find some place else to go. And God is saying it's not time. And God is saying right now, I need you to go back. I need you to stay there. I need you to hold your ground because see, right now I have something. I'm working something out on this end, but I can't tell you what it is right now. So even though you ran away and you out of anger, you hurt, and I know you're hurt, and I know you're frustrated because you had nothing to do with what you were told to do. You just did something. You just did what you did out of obedience in the hurt and the pain. But being obedient to God is so important. Sometimes we don't like everything God tells us to do, but when God tells us to do something, we're obedient, we do it. Hi, Ross, thank you for joining. So, if God tells you to do something, even though you're in a situation, it could be a job or anything, at church or home, whatever the situation could be, you may not like it and you're feeling uncomfortable and you're ready to run and you're ready to leave and God is saying, no, I need you to stay there. You're looking at God like, God, you see what they're doing to me. You see how they're talking about me. You see how they're stabbing me in my back. You see how they don't want me here in the first place. Yeah, you want me to stay here. They won't even promote me. I've been working here all this time and I can't even get a promotion and they want to bring somebody in, but you telling me to stay in here and don't move. And God is saying, yeah, I need you to go back because see, what I got for you is greater than what you see right now. And so Hagar was obedient. Even though she was in the wilderness, she was crying and she was upset. She was obedient. She went back. And by going back, God began to multiply her even more. And that kind of made Sarah, I believe, even matter. And can you imagine in Hagar's position, I got to go back. I got to apologize. Think about it. How many of you had to go back and apologize to somebody about something that you had nothing to do with, but God told you to go and apologize? You like, but I didn't do anything. But God said, but you are the one that's been called and chosen and you know better. And a lot of times God do that to us. He'll send us and he'll have us apologize. And we sitting there like, but I didn't do anything. It's not me. They did it. And God says, it don't matter. I need you to go back and apologize because really it's not about them. It's about you. And the apology is for you, not for them. And so by her being obedient, Hagar went back and God blessed her and he multiplied her again. So then when that happened and then Sarah began to conceive, and that's when we get into, because when she got back, that's in chapter 17, verse we read earlier, verse 19, is when God began to speak to Sarah about the nations. Now, he didn't speak that before Sarah allowed Hagar and Abraham to get together. He didn't speak that, okay, Abraham, y'all gonna have a son and then he's gonna be ruling many nations. That wasn't spoken until later on in the chapter. So Sarah went out on her own and did her own thing and stepped before God. And that's what happens sometimes. We get ahead of God. God may not show us the whole plan. And a lot of times we want to get ahead of God. And God is telling you, whoa, I need you to stand back here. When you get too far ahead of God, you miss the things that God has for you. In the process, and things take time and steps. So Hagar went back. She conceived Ishmael. She had her son. Sarah and Abraham had their son Isaac. Now there become a big rift between them two. And then there was accusing and so many things that were going on. I can tell you, you're going to have to read the whole chapter. But now Abraham sends Hagar away again. Second time. The first time, Sarah sent her away. The second time was no, Sarah didn't. So the first time Hagar went her own because she got tired of being picked on and she left. Second time Abraham sent her away. But it's strange and mighty funny how Abraham did Hagar. He sent Hagar with a little bit of food, little bit of water, and just her and her son, and send them way out into the wilderness. Just let them go. No care in the world. Didn't care if they ain't had no shelter or anything to keep them protected. And a lot of times you may feel that same way, that people have left you out there in the wilderness by yourself. You've tried and you've done all you can do. And you look at they just left you. You know, you helped everybody else. You had everybody else's back. You were right there pushing them and encourage them. And now when it's time for you to get ahead and for you to get that push, there's nowhere around to push you. There's no one there to keep you encouraged. And you wonder, okay, you know, I helped everybody else, but there's nobody here to help me out. Y'all just left me out in the wilderness all by myself. Just left me out with some little bread and some little water. Not enough water to get us through a couple of days. And that's it. And people, you know, sometimes people do that to us today. And you may be in that situation where you feel like you've just been left out in the wilderness by yourself. Everybody that came with you and everybody that called you friend and everybody that said y'all friends and you my home girl and y'all, you know, you're hanging out together, they're all there and around and everything. But when you need them now, you can't find them. They left you out in the wilderness. But that's probably how Hagar felt. You send me away, me and your child, your firstborn, your heir, and you just send us out to the wilderness with just some little bit of food and water. And being a single mother, as Hagar was, and now many of us out there are single mothers, you're going to fight for your child. Ain't nobody going to mess with your child. So as her out there, she began to weep and cry because she was weeping and crying that her child is going to die. They're going to die in this wilderness because they have nothing to eat, nothing to drink. But this time of her weeping, it's a little bit different than the first time. And I want you to go back and begin to read this story all over again. And I want you to take your notes and look at the difference between her weeping the first time she went out in the wilderness and between the difference between the weeping that she did and the crying out the second time. I want you to take some notes as you study this story and read it again. Many of you probably read it a million times. I want you to go on and read it again with a different point of view. I want you to read it in the eyes of Hagar and look at the difference. Because the first time when she went out, she went and wept and cried out of anger. And God sent her back because, see, you can't leave someplace in anger. You can't make good decisions in anger. You know, we make stupid decisions when we're angry and frustrated because our frustration and stuff and the mindset is so high. It was way up here. And so we're just all over the place and we're saying stupid stuff. And sometimes you got to wait and come out of your anger and bring it down. And now you can think straight and think clear and make rational decisions. Well, she left out of anger the first time. And that was so, you know, that was the difference. Hey, Les, thank you for joining. So I want you to open when you get your quiet time. And I want you to read the story again. And I want you to look at the difference of her weeping the first time and weeping the second time. Because the second time when she wept from the heart. And whoa, the heart. We can get in so much about the heart. But the heart is what connects you to God. God connects to your heart. And when you begin to open up and pull out from your heart for real, God begins to connect with that. Now you begin to get a connection between you and God because God talks that heart talk. And your heart begins to talk. And what happened with Hagar, she began to weep from the heart. At the beginning, the first time she went in the wilderness, she wept out of anger. And I want you guys to study, so I'm not going to give you all the information because I want you to go and read it again. But the second time, she wept from the heart. How many of you know how important it is when you're in worship and you begin to worship and you begin to call out to God and you begin to let go from the heart? Their heart is what moves God. You move God with your heart. And when you begin, that's why worship is so important. And when you begin to open up from the heart, you begin to reach out and tug and pull on God. Like the woman with the issue of blood, you start to pull on him and he begins to feel your tug from your heart. And now you be connected with him with your heart. And now he begins to open up and talk to you. And that is why it's so important. When Hagar was out there that wilderness the second time and she realized that they didn't have any food or any water, she began to cry out to God from her heart. Now, how many of you ever been in a situation where you didn't have anything and your bills were paid and your bills were due and you didn't have enough money, or you look at the refrigerator, there's not enough food in there to feed your family or feed yourself, and you wonder you don't have any money left, and you're looking around, it's like, oh God, what am I going to do? And when you begin to call out to God with your heart, and your heart begins to tug on God, and when God begins to speak to you and give you direction and show you where to go and what to do and how to go in there and pull out something that you didn't even see the first time. You go back in the refrigerator and you see something that you didn't see the first time, and he began to show you you how to mix it up because you tugged on his heart. Pull on God's heartstrings. That's what you want to pull on. You want to pull on his heart because the heart is the connection between you and God. And that is so important. And that's what Hagar did. And Hagar began to pull on God's heart, and she began to open up, and she began to let go. And I believe, and they may not say it in the Bible, but I believe Hagar had a worship moment out in the wilderness. I believe Hagar began to let go and let God. I believe Hagar got down on her knees and she started pouring out everything that she had been going through as a slave, and everything that she'd been felt at the many years of being treated wrong because she gave birth to a child that she didn't ask even have that moment with someone's husband, and how she was probably talked about because of what she did, and how she was treated. And I believe Hagar was down there in some deep prayer. I believe she was weeping and crying out to God, and God heard her heart, and God began, and he brought justice. So I want you to go in and you read, and I want you to go back in and read the story and read what happens after after she finished crying, and how she became blessed. Also, even though she got the injustice in the home and she was treated unfairly, at the end of the story, she was just. God brought justice into her life. So it's so important that you remember, when God speaks to you and he gives you direction, listen. He's going to give you precise directions of what to do and where to go and how to do it. He's a God of purpose. He creates everything with a purpose. He has you with a purpose in mind. You were created with a purpose. So he will give you direction and show you where to go. And if you follow the direction that God gives you, it will lead right down to your destination. But you have to go back and get delivered first. So Hagar, first thing, she had to go back the first time. She had to get delivered from everything else that was going on. And then she got out there in the wilderness, and God gave her direction of what to go and what to do. So that is so important. So I want you, as we close out, you get an opportunity. I want you to dig a little deeper in the story. I want you to put yourself in the place of Hagar. Get into her mind and understand and look at her heart. Hagar wasn't a bad person. We have made her out to be a bad person, and she was not. She was a slave girl who did what she was told to do. But because she did what she was told to do, she was outcast and she was sent away. And many of you probably can relate, because you did what your boss told you to do. Everybody else got mad at you, and they don't want to talk to you no more, and they just shunning you away. Your friends, you did what God told you to do, and now your friends don't want to call you no more because you gave your life over to the Lord, and you're not doing that stuff anymore. You made a change of a heart, and you gave your heart to God, and now you feel like the outcast. Well, you're in the same situation that Hagar was in, because Hagar felt as if she was an outcast. But look at the end. When she began to open up and pour out her heart to God, he began to bless her and touch her in ways that we cannot imagine. And I just want to encourage someone on tonight that if you begin to open up your heart and you begin to surrender to God and you begin to pour out and let God hear your heart and hear and receive, and you open up and receive what God has for you, you will be justified. He will bring your unjust to just, and he will be glorified. So I hope you guys enjoyed our little conversation on tonight. As I said, we're going to try to get back on here every Tuesday. It's been a while, so we're going to try to get back on here every Tuesday at 9 o'clock. And this is our Women Transform Sisterhood Bible Study time. And we're going to just chit chat and talk. And if there's a topic that you would like to discuss, and these next couple of meetings, we're going to be talking about different women. Next week we're going to talk about Ruth, and then we're going to talk about Esther and some more women that we usually don't talk about. I want to talk about women that sometimes we don't touch in the Bible, because there's a lot of men there. And so join in, drop your email address. Email me at transformation18@yahoo.com so we can keep you updated and keep you informed every time we come on, so you'll know our topics and everything. And as I said earlier, hit us on Instagram at Transform Her Single. Women's is our Instagram page. We do every morning we do motivational quotes to keep you inspired, to keep you uplifted as you wake up in the morning. Give you a word of encouragement to keep you motivated and going throughout the day. Also catch us on our YouTube channel, Women Transform Pamela Jordan, because you can find all of our previous videos that we did before are on there, and we're building up. And I need you to subscribe, I need you to like, and I need you to share. I need you to go on that YouTube channel. That's Women Transform Pamela Jordan, to subscribe, like, and share those videos. And I guarantee you'll be a blessing. In our podcast is a Single Women's Transform Her Single Women's podcast, and you can catch that every Thursday. Every Thursday we try to post a new podcast every Thursday for you to check. So I hope you guys were blessed. I enjoyed seeing you guys. Thank you all, Les, Ross, Pastor Michael, Rosa, everybody that came in. Thank you guys for joining in, keeping us inspired and lifted up. Put your comments in the comment section, share your likes, thumbs up, show me some hearts. You know how we do. And I will see you next time. God bless you all. Good night. Bye-bye.